If investors and listed companies don't have faith in us to provide them with fair, secure and transparent marketplaces, they will take their business to other venues. The Nordic equity markets have a long tradition of being the most transparent markets in the world. And both local and international investors come here because they have confidence in us and our markets. And one of the ways we excel is through the application and development of new technologies, including, for instance, now using machine intelligence to improve our surveillance function.
Surveillance is the gatekeeper and the watchdog of the marketplace, with its core task to uphold integrity in our markets. With regards to trading, surveillance monitors all order and trading activity that takes place on our marketplace. Every day, hundreds of thousands of trades and millions of orders are tested against a number of patterns, all implemented in our surveillance software SMARTS. As anyone can understand, we need a sophisticated technology to delve through all of that information and to come up with the signals of market abuse that we need to detect every day. We have for a number of months worked together with developers at SMARTS that have been given access to historical data on alerts, market data, and what actions analysts chose to take based upon such alerts and in the market conditions that prevailed once the alerts were triggered. The basic concept has been to create a number of algorithms that have identified in which situations analysts have chosen to take actions and in which situations they have chosen not to take actions. The aim has been to come up with a predictive model whereby the algorithms would be able to predict in which cases an analyst would take a certain type of action. This has been used to create a ranking score, whereby new alerts has been then assigned this ranking score, which aims at predicting whether the alert would lead to an action or not. We will initially use these alert scorings for three purposes. Firstly, it will be used to allow the analysts to do prioritizations. As any analyst will testify, trading data, trading statistics, and thereby alert statistics are not evenly spread across time. Each morning at the opening of the markets, there will be a burst of alerts. When peaks of volatility occur in the marketplace, there will be a burst of alerts. These scorings will allow the analysts to detect which alerts are more likely to lead to an action and which are less likely to lead to an action, and thereby allow them to do prioritizations. Secondly, we will use the scorings for our existing quality controls to enhance the existing quality controls. This is an area that I am particularly interested in. We will use these scorings to identify situations in which the action taken by an analyst differed from the prediction of the algorithm. That doesn't mean that the algorithm was right, but that is a signal to a manager that this situation should be looked into. We strive, of course, to uphold consistency and accuracy in alert handling. Thirdly, we will use this data to review alert functionality. In the situations where the predictions are, over time, accurate in identifying the situation in which alerts will lead to actions, then it will make sense for us to review whether the actual underlying alert logic should be changed. We are very excited and optimistic about this initiative and the improvements that it will enable. Our aim here is to improve our capabilities, to help our analysts reach the right conclusions and to reach them more quickly and more efficiently. We are, as said, very excited about these possibilities. But having said this is the first step and the first implication and the first implementation. We will do this deployment responsibly, and there will be improvements over time, of course, but we are very optimistic about the future possibilities. As happy and proud that we are about the deployment and the development that we're currently rolling out, I think that looking back a few years from now, we will view this as plain vanilla, as functionality that is simply embedded in our SMARTS environment and that we don't think too much about, but that we make use of and make good use of every day. Sort of like the benchmarking functionality that's been available in SMARTS for quite some time, or the threshold calibration that most of us as users of SMARTS will make use of. This is fairly sophisticated technology and features within the surveillance system, but we don't think about it too much. I think this will be similar. However, I think that we will constantly add on new features and new ways in which we make use of machine intelligence within our SMARTS surveillance software. I think, for example, that member profiling or participant profiling is an area where machine intelligence can be put to good use. I think, for example, that pattern recognition is something that we'll work more with. A challenge for anyone who operates a surveillance function is that patterns need to be defined. You need basically to tell the system what to look for. What are the abusive practices that we want to be alerted for? I think that if such patterns could be defined by use of machine intelligence, we could make them more dynamic, where the system will sort of look for deviations from a norm and where the norm changes over time, rather than being static. Another area that many are already working on, but where I see that machine intelligence can be used more efficiently going forward, is the digestion and the interpretation of so-called unstructured data. In other words, data that doesn't sort of fit an existing protocol. That can be, for example, news items or social media coverage, data that anyone that works a surveillance function will need to make use of in an intelligent and efficient way, but that is challenging to deal with in a structured way simply because the data in itself is unstructured. This is an area where I think that fintech and machine learning in particular can benefit or can contribute going forward.